morning, health enthusiasts. So to continue on with our conversation around melatonin, we're going to discuss its role in supporting the immune system today, specifically the schools of the immune system as well as the bouncer to the immune system. So what am I talking about? Well, we're going to be discussing the health of the thymus and the spleen. So one can think of the thymus like the Hogwarts to the immune system, training up all the wizards in order to be able to fend off Voldemort and all of his minions, being that in the correlation to what happens in our environmental exposure to things such as toxins and pathogens. So it's important that our wizards of the immune system get the right education, otherwise with all their power, destruction can come along with it as well. We can end up in a situation of autoimmunity. In addition to that, the spleen is the bouncer, basically ensuring that none of the evil wizards get an opportunity to come into Hogwarts to be able to overwhelm an education system in which, through generations, we have fortified our ability to have reciprocity within the environment that we live within. Thus, what melatonin does, it actually supports the school as well as the protection of the immune system. But how does it go about doing so? Well, firstly, melatonin inhibits a primary cytokine that when it gets released creates a knock-on effect, a domino effect, if you will, to the release of many other cytokines, but namely for today's conversation, interleukin-6, interleukin-1 beta, and tumor necrosis factor alpha. All three of these, but specifically interleukin-1 beta, increase T-bars, which is basically a marker that determines how much our fats are being oxidized in the body, impacting our membranes and how it is that our body can communicate within itself. Subsequently, with all these being activated, it does induce a high amount of oxidative stress, and via the nature of cytokines, it does increase inflammation, both of which the thymus and the spleen do not do well in a high ongoing load of these inflammatory and oxidative variables. So what melatonin does, it actually creates an inhibition to the excess chronic release of these cytokines. It doesn't suppress them because we still need these guys in order to tell the immune system what to do. You know, those wizards that actually got out of Hogwarts, they still need a directive. But it's important that we don't overwhelm them with a poor directive, leading to the outcome in which they start to attack Hogwarts itself. So in addition to that, it actually also upregulates a endogenous enzyme that can create the increased production of our own endogenous antioxidants, namely glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, all of which support the health of the thymus and the spleen in order to ensure that our wizards have the best opportunity to do what it is that they need to do for our best optimal health. Going back for a second to the T-bar situation, not only does it impact the spleen and the thymus, but it also has an impact on microglia. So microglia are these little cleanup agents. Call them, they're like the park wardens that look for dead, dry wood or dead, dry debris. And when they find it, they set a controlled fire. Well, it's meant to be a controlled fire to get rid of that debris so new vegetation can come through. Well, the microglia work on a very similar premise in that they clear out what should not belong in the brain in order for the brain to be in a better state of operation. However, how they do that is by inducing an inflammatory response and thereby encouraging other immune system to clean up what the inflamed tissue is telling them that needs to be cleaned up. As you can expect, if this is left unchecked, you've got a lot of neuroinflammation that comes into effect, and this impacts certain neurological networks, suppressing that of the executive network and probably ramping up the salience network, creating a limbic issue in which you probably have a different perception of stress that comes into your experience of life. Now, this is vitally important because what we perceive not only impacts our psychology, but physiology as well. And what melatonin can do is support, or at least provide, the increased likelihood in reducing the expression of T-bars. So not only will it improve upon brain functionality, but it will also subsequently improve upon the health of our overall immunological schools and clearance agents, the bouncers, the spleen itself. For me, Justin Maguire, I hope this was helpful. If anybody you know struggling with anxiety, struggling with insomnia, really having reoccurring colds and flus, and just not living their best possible life, have them reach out. Let's see what we can do. Perhaps melatonin may or may not be the right directive. There are considerations to its use. Obviously, one wouldn't want to go for gold in every situation. Sometimes a titration is required, depending upon the state of the physiology in question. But nonetheless, there are solutions to every challenge. You just have to look deep enough. For me, Justin Maguire, until we meet again next time, remember, stay optimized.